in both of these games, Higgy, it's been a bit weird because City have had less possession than their opponent in both Bournemouth and the Dortmund games. But in both of them, City were more dangerous, and it felt like the opposition couldn't really create anything despite that possession. So, like, where are you feeling about this kind of brave new world that we're entering?
Well, I think it's an example of Pep being willing to be pragmatic and evolve. We can't, the model that we've had where it's just purely not purely, but mainly possession based and just passing teams to death. You can't sustain the same approach forever and ever because everyone else is looking at it and trying to unpick how to combat it.
And everyone else has got better as
our
well.
agenda. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, with teams like Bournemouth, I mean, we kind of played them at their own game. The pitch was like weirdly narrow. Like Doku was coming inside. He was central midfield a lot of the time. Like the way that they tucked in just to go kind of not necessarily man on man, but just compact that space and make it more combative in the middle there. And yeah, if that means, I don't think it's an intentional thing to surrender possession, but if that's a consequence of the way we're setting up and other teams aren't particularly creating much with it, then yeah, we'll happily take less of a massive possession stat and just keep hitting teams on the counter a bit more and be a bit more transitional. It seems to be working. Although we are giving up a few chances as well.
It didn't feel like Bournemouth and Dortmund had more of the ball, did it? I was really surprised at that stat.
That's true. Yeah. It just felt more even. I mean, previously, it's so blatantly obvious that we've had the ball for 10 minutes and they've not touched it. And you can see them psychologically wilt just under the sustained, not had a touch for, 15 minutes of the game kind of attitude on the other team. But yeah, it's a bit more even without necessarily looking like we've had less, even though we have. I don't know.
Yeah.
Please explain.
The thing is, though, Jack, like as much as you ask Guardiola, he won't want to concede possession, as Higgy says. He'll want the ball and he'll want to force teams like Bournemouth and Dortmund back into their own area. But if City can no longer do it as well as they used to be able to, and they're better at coping with teams having the ball, does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. But he says the best way to defend is by having the ball, so I guess it matters in that sense, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't know. I particularly the last two games, I didn't really get the sense that they were sort of chasing the ball or anything like that. I didn't think like. So what were the actual percentages?
It's a lot. It's basically 50-50 on both. It was 52-48 in the Bournemouth game and 51-49 in
the Bournemouth. I mean, the Bournemouth thing's weird because Bournemouth are great. I despise the word transition, but.
Sorry, let me just scrub that out of my notes then, just 1 second.
Sadly, that is... you are doing as well, I can just see that. Yeah, that's what they're good at, and you don't necessarily want or need the ball for that, so it's surprising that they would have the majority, albeit a small majority, a Brexit majority, of the ball. I also think that City have always had the capability of being a really, really good counter-attacking team,
transitional.
But they've always had like really, really like proper players over a distance. Like even I know that Guardiola said for years, that's not us, that's not our game. We're all about the small little passes, but they are like these players over the last 10 years have been better than everyone else in the Premier League. So therefore, if you ask them to play over the top, then they would have scored so many. I mean, look at the Centurion season. How many goals did they scored from like fast breaks and things like that?
Was part of the point though, Jack, that the space wasn't there to exploit that because the opposition weren't coming up the pitch, whereas now they are coming up the pitch a bit, so they can exploit it.
Yeah, I mean that's it because the game sort of changed, or the ideal of the game has sort of changed in that teams want to be like Bournemouth and go and like press high up the pitch and all that sort of stuff. Whereas like it was in vogue 2 years ago, to sit in and counter from your own
goal line,
22.
Yeah.
Whereas now you're countering from the other team's 22, aren't you? So it's sort of the game changing that aspect. But I think if City had been allowed to play on the counter or transition or whatever over the years, they'd have scored 100 goals a season in the league comfortably every single year, because the forwards have always been exceptional. It's just that they haven't been allowed to do it, and they've had to find different ways of scoring goals.
Yeah, and when you look at the goals that City scored against Bournemouth in particular, Higgy, there was so much in-trap on the counter there. They're also they're generating these transitions by inviting the pressure themselves. And you look at the way they drew Bournemouth up the pitch, and then it's a couple of quick passes, one up to Cherki's head, and yes, like he's basically headed it into the space. And I know Haaland started his run kind of 5 yards into his own half, but suddenly he's clean through, and like that's not a goal City could have scored a couple of years ago, because the other team would not have been as high up the pitch.
Well, no, and I think also adapting to Haaland a bit more specifically, being a bit more Haaland bespoke, is helpful to that. I mean, weirdly, it's kind of married to him being more involved deeper as well.
Exactly, it's exactly that.
Yeah. So people have accused him in the past of not being good in the build-up play and us not being direct enough. And yeah, I mean, Pep, if nothing else, is willing to learn and evolve, isn't he? So I think that's what we're seeing.
Higgy's completely right, because you look at that the goal against Bournemouth with the Cherki header. Like, the only reason he has the run on the Bournemouth players to get onto the end of that header is because he's come deep and been part of that link, and then it just gives him the space to be able to eat up the ground.
So if you can get him in a foot race with anyone from his own half,
and if you're playing on the last man, you've not. All right, he'd still beat most people if the ball was played over the top anyway. But he's given himself an extra few yards to sort of get himself going, go through the gears, and then by the time the ball has actually like gone beyond the defensive line, he's nearing top speed already. So that's why he flew away.
And he's in. Yeah. Are you getting the inevitable feeling back with Haaland?
Yeah, I mean, the only issue is that he's not going to. Well, I'm going against my answer of yes in terms of it being inevitable. It's almost nothing's 100%. So that's the problem, isn't it? You think it's inevitable, so you rely on it too much, and then he misses one, and you only get one chance a game, and you lose to Villa. So as inevitable as it can feel, the sensible side of things says that you can't rely on it being inevitable. So we do need to, as we are doing, to other people to chip in a little bit. But we're making the chance.
Kind of a funny week though, isn't it? Funny past week, because after Villa, heads were falling off left, right, and centre. When I didn't think they were brilliant at Villa. I didn't think they were that bad.
They were all right, were they? Just kind of
steady. They were okay. They had enough chances to sort of get something out of the game, but there was it was. I'd written a piece saying they weren't that bad, and some of the people coming back going, "Oh, you spewing bullshit for the club." I was like, "Yeah. The club have rang me mid-game and said, would you mind saying
if we lose this?" Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, but it's fascinating, because then after winning against Bournemouth and after winning against, all the stuff last on Wednesday night after Dortmund was they've been brilliant, whatever. So, well, actually, for 20 minutes it had a bit of a Feyenoord feel about it. Mm-hmm. And if Donnarumma wasn't, if it wasn't Donnarumma in net, that could become quite a tricky night. So it's just interesting, the sort of polar opposite kind of reactions to two games where, I don't know. I didn't think they were as bad as people were saying at Villa. I didn't think they were quite as good as people were saying against Dortmund.
I think people are becoming more, if it's possible, people are becoming increasingly immediate and reactionary as time goes on with football. I mean, I remember a time where you wouldn't even been looking at the league table, in October, because it's like, well, it's only a few games, who cares? And now it's like, oh, we're 3 games in and look who's top of the league. It's, oh, this is mental, write something quick. And everyone loses their minds.
Do I just need to scrub out that bit of the notes where we talk about the position in the league? It's November now. As I revised so much of the
It's
show.
November. We're safe.
Gets very serious in November, mate. Don't worry about that.
Oh yeah, don't you scrub that out.
Okay, well we'll come to that. Minds. We'll come to that in a minute. Higgy, you said you wouldn't want to get in a foot race with Haaland. What type of race would you like to get in with him?
I knew you were going to ask that.
What do you think? What do you think you would beat him in?
Did I say I wouldn't like to get in a foot race with him?
Yeah.
Did I? Oh, I don't recall saying that. I think
something along those lines, anyway. Tenuous enough for me to ask you what sort of race you'd like to run against him. Egg and spoon?
Bobsleigh?
No, I think he'd be really good at that. I'm just thinking of things I can do really quickly. I can eat Weetabix really quickly. I've got a method.
You wouldn't want to go in an eating race against Haaland, though, surely, would you?
No, true. He'd just eat the plate, wouldn't he, and swallow it like an ostrich. Not that I have Weetabix on a plate. No, I can't really think of a race that he would lose
you would beat him in.
To me at. You've put me on the spot there. This wasn't in the notes.
I know, that's entirely the point.
I didn't say it.
Are you a good swimmer?
I don't have limbs like oars, as does Erling Haaland, so I reckon he'd probably be quite good at that as well.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. In fact, actually, could I have picked
a race that involves going in small spaces and ducking through holes that are generally smaller than the frame of Erling Haaland would probably be my only option there.
Yeah, but you're a tall man yourself, though, so I was like,
I know, but I think I'm I'm allowed to say that I don't think I'm quite as built as Erling Haaland.
As Erling Haaland, yeah, that's fair.
Just about.
Yeah. What was that show on Channel 5 in the 90s with Melinda Messenger?
Fort Boyard.
Yeah, that
was that Fort Boyard.
Small
have that Dirty Dan on it as well.
Yeah, I think so. You had to do a bit of small spaces in there that you might struggle with.
Yeah, there used to be one where they used to have to get keys, didn't you? And they used to lob one out into the ocean, and somebody had to go and swim for it. It was like a mile swim back. Yeah,
I think that might have been it.
Yeah. Yeah,
no,
so you'd like to take him on at Fort Boyard. I didn't expect Fort Boyard to come up in today's show, but here we are. Jack, you spotted this, and you mentioned it online this week. 18 offsides for Haaland in his entire City career.
I was wrong, mate.
Oh, was it wrong?
Yeah, I was wrong.
Ah, well, okay, well, never mind. Still,
absolute,
how many was it?
Journo research, terrible. It was 18 in the Premier League.
Ah, okay. Well, still, 18 in the Premier League in what, 3.5 years? Pretty damn good.
It's pretty damn
Jesus
good.
had one of those that many in one game. So Jesus,
Marmouche as well.
Yeah,
he loves an offside, doesn't he?
There was a moment against Dortmund where Cherki didn't play the ball through to Haaland as he was running through, and he delayed it and then played it. And I thought Haaland's going to be furious about this because he's going to end up getting caught offside. And still, he was offside when it got through to him after the delay.
We said, in that press conference the other day, he said a really interesting thing about VAR. Actually, he was like, I quite like VAR because I'm always onside, so the marginal calls will always go in my favour. I think he's the only professional footballer I've heard say VAR is positive. I just found it and it's quite don't know, quite interesting that he's thought about it and kind of mentioned it really. But I mean that was always when he joined from Dortmund. That loads of people in Germany said this guy's just never ever offside, and he went into quite a little bit of detail on it on Tuesday when he was in front of the media, where he said he'd been working on perfecting his runs since he was 13 at Brunner. And I think when he says that, he actually means it. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that a lot of work's gone into this sort of stuff.
It's paid off.
Paid off. I'd like to think so. They should all be doing that. It's like when Doku said that him and Haaland have been having a chat about maybe working out how they should play the ball into the box so it results in more goals. It's yes, lads, work at that. Strikers, work on your top tip. Strikers want to score more goals. Work on staying on side. I mean, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, we are now a live action Viz. Is that Viz style?
Well, yeah, but it was literally just a
bit more sincere than that,
non-ironic
wasn't it?
piece of sincere advice.
Yeah. Jack, I want to talk about Phil Foden as well because, these two games feel like a true, Phil Foden is here this season, like performances, don't they?
Yeah, I thought Everton. Without wanting to be massively contrary, I thought Everton
Feel
the other
free.
week. I thought Everton the other week. I was like, he's run the game like really, really, really good from a deeper midfield position. He basically made both the goals, even though he didn't get an assist. In the way that he sort of just changed the tempo of the game and got City going, which I thought was really impressive. And then obviously, Wednesday night, he was took his goals magnificently. He just looks freer and he just looks happier. I mean, it's been quite well documented that last season he was having problems sort of with his mental health and other things and all that sort of stuff. And Tuchel and Guardiola have both sort of said that he needs to get the joy back and sort of start smiling again and whatever, and then his performances will come, and that's exactly what's happened really. But it's interesting. I kind of don't really know where it's going to end up for Foden sort of positionally, because I said to Guardiola after the Everton game was like, oh, have you got a bit of a problem on where you want to play him? Because when he was deeper playing against Everton, he was great because he was knitting everything together. But also, I guess you want him around the box, you want him scoring goals. And he said, no, we definitely want him as close to Haaland as possible. But since then, he's been playing in this sort of number 8 kind of David Silvery thing. So I don't know whether Cherki's sort of kind of involvement means that Foden's going to drop back, or whether it's going to be Foden or Cherki most of the time in a sort of kind of a number 10 close to Haaland. I think there's still quite a few questions about how he's going to deploy him.
Either way, it's working though at the moment, Higgy. Because just on the goals front against Dortmund, Jack said it there. They were both incredibly smooth turns, and then the finishes were fantastic.
Both incredibly similar goals, weren't they? And they're kind of his trademark, exactly how he likes. He's always looking for that, isn't he? He's always looking for that finish, that kind of turn, take a touch, look up, is that shot on, and give it a whack, left foot. Although he didn't need to whack it that much, he used the defenders really well, didn't he, to kind of shield it from the keeper, so the keeper's reacting when it's already travelling, which is always to your advantage. But yeah, against Dortmund, I didn't think he played particularly magnificently. He took his goals well. Surprising that they allowed him to do such a typical Phil Foden move twice. But I mean, you've got to take the chance when it comes. I've missed the Everton game, unfortunately, so I can't really comment on that because I only saw little bits of highlights. But yeah, it's just, I'm not demanding of him that he's absolutely, carrying the game every time he plays. Just to see him playing well and kind of purring a bit is good enough for now. You want to see how that continues over a season. Again, going back to being too reactionary, I don't want to be too falls back to his best, and then if he has 3 bad games going, he's lost it, he's rubbish, get him out of the you know what I mean? It's like
he doesn't need the pressure either. Yeah, he just
no.
just let him play. Yeah,
he's playing well, he's got a smile on his face, that's fine by me. Let's just crack on and carry on, take the pressure off him, let him play his game, and if he carries on playing even to this standard all season, then we should be going places.
Yeah. Jack, what do you reckon Guardiola makes of Rayan Cherki? Because we've not seen a lot of him so far this season. And then he started against Spurs back at the start of the season because Guardiola was expecting Spurs to play in a low block and they didn't. And that was a bit of a problem. And then he must have known Bournemouth weren't going to play with a low block. He must have known they were going to play higher up. And he selected him and it really worked. And then, he comes on against Dortmund and immediately plays a back heel in his own half, under pressure. If he had hair, Guardiola would be tearing it out at that. So, what do you think he makes of
it? Yeah, I mean, the Bournemouth thing was a massive surprise. I think if there was one game you don't play Cherki and Foden together, it was probably Bournemouth, and he did, and then they were both great.
And it worked brilliantly, yeah.
Yeah. I've noticed a few times that when Cherki's given the ball away, he's been a little bit Pep's been, oh, what are you doing, mate? Just
Not
pass
there,
it.
not now.
Yeah, stop it. I didn't tell you to do that. But that's what you get when you have like Mavericks like that. Like Mavericks don't exist anymore. So it should be sort of applauded that they have signed one and are like happy to play him in a game like the Bournemouth game at the weekend. And they will like, all right, Guardiola has reacted to him giving possession away a little bit, but he will know that's the game with him. Kind of fascinated to see how big his role and how big his impact is going to be this year, because obviously, like, attacking players first year under Guardiola at City, like, there are loads of examples of people not really finding their feet until season 2. But Cherki has offered some positive signs already, which might buck the trend.
It's interesting saying we don't get Mavericks anymore. You certainly don't get Mavericks in the Pep Guardiola robot teams that have ruined football over the last few years. So yeah, it's a bit of a contrast.
Does he qualify Higgy as mercurial? Would you say mercurial is a word to describe Rayan Cherki?
Isn't mercurial just now and again flashes of brilliance that are kind of not consistently expected? Because
I'd say Isle Berkovic was mercurial.
What are we defining mercurial as?
See, that's I don't really know. That's why I was asking.
Right. Well, my view is that it's kind of you get the odd flashbang, brilliant, and then a bit more kind of off the boil for a bit. But Cherki's just been fantastic. Every time he's come on, he's either looked like creating or scoring, or inevitably has. He's just been amazing. I think he's been crafted by the aliens or God and sent to bring us happiness. I absolutely love him with my entire heart. I think he's fantastic.
And the funny thing is, when he spoke to us in America before the Club World Cup started, like, his English is all right, but it was like, I can't remember what the question was. Someone asked him about, like, I think United had looked at him when he was younger, or no, he was asked about his reaction to the Europa League game at Old Trafford, where he like cupped his balls and whatever to the.
Oh, he slagged them off, didn't he?
Yeah. Anyway, he just turns around and says, "I can't wait for the derby. I want to kill Manchester United." I was like, "What? You'll do for us, pal." Back page every paper the next day. I was like, "Yeah, superb.
Works for me."
That's good copy.
Yeah. Mercurial, according to dictionary.com, of or containing the element mercury. So that's no help, is it?
Well, I hope he recovers, because that's really dangerous stuff.
Yeah. It's actually subject to sudden or unpredictable changes of mood or mind.
Much like his podcast.